Hello, everyone. It is I, Ryan, also known as the Lovebat, and I am here with you to kind of take a bit of a break from the playthrough that I'm doing of Pathfinder Kingmaker, which is quite a long game, and just needed a little bit of a chance to change things up a little bit and recharge with something a little bit different and something that's kind of in the season because it's American football season and things are very much underway, and it's sort of in the middle of the year, and now teams are getting to the sort of final stretch of the season where teams kind of jockey for a position and do all that stuff during American football season during the fall. And I am personally a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so obviously I have quite a vested interest in American football, and I've been a fan ever since, so say I was about 13, 14 years old is when I've been an avid fan. So for quite a long time, through good seasons and bad seasons, and we recently won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm hoping that maybe the team that I go ahead and play with here in Blood Bowl, which is basically like a fantasy version set in the Warhammer 40k universe, that we can go ahead and win a Blood Bowl trophy and kind of win the Blood Bowl version of the Super Bowl, which is basically the biggest game of the year for American football and is probably the most highly televised single sporting event in sporting history. Like in any kind of sport, as far as television goes, the Super Bowl is the single most watched sporting event ever, basically, because it's the most important game of the year, and football games, they don't happen very often because the sport can be very physically demanding and rough, and Blood Bowl is no exception to that because players can and will get injured in this game, for those that aren't familiar with it. Now, I'm not highly familiar with the Warhammer 40k lore or anything like that. I haven't had a chance to play tabletop games of Warhammer 40k that I'm sure I've met people that have, and I'm not really too familiar with the lore, and I haven't played any video games other than Blood Bowl that are set in Warhammer 40k, but from the way I understand it, Blood Bowl is really just, it's based off of sort of an in-lore event, and it's sort of like semi-alternative timeline that happens where some orcs and some dwarves met a while back, or they were warring a while back. Then they ended up finding a chest of some kind that had rules of this old ancient sport. They were transcribed, and eventually the dwarves and the orcs settling their war or their issues through Blood Bowl or football games kind of carried over to a lot of the other races and to all the other, sorts of regions and factions of Warhammer 40k. And so that's just kind of the basic history lesson of where Blood Bowl sort of originates from. And so it's basically just the fantasy version of American football, except just a lot more physical. In recent years, American football has had lots of safety rules and things like that implemented to try and aid in player safety and lessen injuries and the impacts of injuries and things of that nature, which is, again, it's all well and good to be able to have that and to kind of keep the players in mind, and to try and think of, the long-term effects of playing football. But, in a fan sense, I think that a lot of us still enjoy a good old chaotic, really hard-hitting game of football, and so we can kind of live that through a game like Blood Bowl here. Now, I've already set all my settings. I am going to be playing on the hardest difficulty setting. I think it's game control skills, no, coach, sounds, graphics, it's in general, I think. Yeah. Alright, so AI difficulty is set to hard. So if I'm going to be playing against the computer opponent, then I want to go ahead and have it be the hardest difficulty setting. I have heard, I played a couple matches like a year or two ago, but it was only a couple, so I don't remember the game too well from my personal experience. Other than that, the games can be kind of frustrating if you're not a physically oriented team. Like if you can't hold up to other teams trying to, block and bash you in the face, it can get pretty difficult to stay in the game sometimes. And so bash teams and very physical teams are very popular to my knowledge in this game. They tend to be very successful, and their players don't get hurt as often either, which means that longevity is also another thing with them that works out well. And as we all know in NFL, the professional football league in real life, the team that's usually the healthiest at the end of the season when they get into the playoffs usually has the best chance of winning the championship because they have all their best players healthy for that final stretch of the most important games. So that can also kind of be a thing in this game when it comes to dealing with injuries to players, and players can also permanently die. And so there are ways to try and offset that, like there's an apothecary, which is basically a medical tent, which can, once per match generally, you can try and remove an injury from a player, which can include them dying, essentially. But if someone dies on you and they're an important player, that can really be a big blow to your team. So that's something else that's kind of similar to roguelike elements, to where, you know, someone dies or something bad happens to a player, you just have to kind of live with it and accept the fact that sometimes the dice aren't in your favor, because Blood Bowl is based off of tabletop rules, or a tabletop sort of game. And so the video game basically streamlines it and makes it take a lot less time to play. So it's kind of like an ease of use kind of game, and it helps you find players online too. So let's see. We're going to just go and I don't know if I want to play an online league right now, because online matches can get very frustrating and you have to make sure you can find players. And I'm not sure how populated Blood Bowl 2 is at this point in its lifespan. Blood Bowl 3 is going to be coming out sometime in 2022. I'm not exactly sure when, but I want to play Blood Bowl 2 here and kind of get things going. So I'm going to go ahead and just create my team here then. I believe I should be able to create a team. I don't know if I have to create them here, or if I can do it in just playing in a league. Alright, so I can create them here. And so I've been kind of wondering which team to pick, and so I'll give a brief overview of the teams here for people that may not be too familiar with Blood Bowl. Maybe someone that's subscribed to me and is more into some of the other games I've played, like RPGs, but they aren't familiar with Blood Bowl rules. So basically you have humans, which are basically like an all-around balanced kind of team that you really have to build their specialties as the characters level up, because they don't start off with a whole lot, but they're very adaptable. Orcs are probably one of the most popular teams because they're very easy to pick up and play. The skill level should really be 1 instead of a 2, because they're probably one of the more well-rounded teams, because they get very strong players that can bash in your skull very well. They get some very strong orcs and a strong troll as well. Their blitzers are very, very durable, and they can really do a lot of damage. Now, they don't really have as many agility type players and people that can really score from long distances or throw passes and stuff, but their blitzers are still fairly good in that role if you get them the right skills, so they are a very popular pick amongst people. Dwarves are a bit tougher to play, even though in theory they should be very good. Like in American football, you think, oh, well, they just ram the ball down their throats all day running the ball, and they just are tough as nails and tough to bring down, which is somewhat true, but that's mainly as far as armor value goes, which basically means that they're very tough to injure, but that's their main strength. Their agility isn't very good, and they aren't very good at throwing the ball and picking up the ball and in general doing things with the ball, which is what you need to do to score and win games. But they're certainly not a bad team, but they're very difficult to get a good handle on. The only good thing, really, or the major thing with them, is that you're not likely going to have any of them die on you, and you're not going to lose players very often. So you don't usually have to replace players with dwarves, but they can be difficult to try and get a good handle on how to play with them. And then this guy with this big old mechanical, whipper wrapper, whatever it is. It's also very difficult to use certain kinds of players that use like special, what would you call it, mechanical devices or weapons and stuff that usually you can't get away with for too long. And then we have the Skaven, which are basically a very mobile team. They don't have quite as good armor value, so you might lose a couple of players every now and then. But they are very mobile, and they have gutter runners, which are very fast and agile, and they make very good catchers. So you have someone that's a quarterback that throws them the ball, basically, and then the gutter runners are very fast. And then they have a really big guy here, which is basically the enforcer, kind of like the equivalent of hockey, where you have some big guys. The orcs have like a troll, the humans have an ogre, etc. Each team usually has one big guy that's like an enforcer type, and they're very strong, they're hard to move around, and they can generally get very good dice rolls going for them when they want to knock players around. But as it says here, they might go down a bit more to their armor value being lower. They might get injured more, and you might lose players more. And if your important gutter runners get hurt with a debilitating injury or die, then that can really set you back, because they're usually going to be the ones that level up the most. The players that score touchdowns in this game usually level up the most, so you usually don't want those players to get hurt and get taken out of the game or anything like that. High Elves are basically probably one of the strongest teams once you get them going. They're very good at passing the ball because they're very agile and they're very good at throwing it. They have pretty good armor value, so their players often aren't going to be taken out of the game compared to some other teams. They're also pretty fast and, again, adaptable. They can do blitzing, throwing, they can do lots of running for touchdowns, and they can hold their own decently in the middle with their linemen because they don't have any weak players as far as strength goes. But they don't have very many skills to start off with. You're really relying a lot on their agility and then leveling them up to kind of pick a specialty for the players, and so you have to kind of do that as you level up. And so you have to play at least a couple of matches to kind of level up your players and get them developed. Think of it like lots of highly talented rookie players on an NFL team, where they have lots of raw talent, but they haven't really had much time to develop their skills yet. And that's kind of what this team is. So they can be very strong once you kind of get used to how to use them and get them leveled up a little bit. Dark Elves, I'm not too familiar with them. I've played against them once or twice in Blood Bowl before, but I haven't played with them. Basically, they are very mobile, and then they have some very, again, exotic type of abilities. I don't think it's referring to what the ladies are wearing. I think it's more referring just to the fact that they get lots of side abilities and secondary skills that other teams don't usually have in abundance. And so they have lots of very, talented players, but they're not very good as far as facing teams that are going to try and bash their skill, and they tend to be a bit more finesse than trying to, hold up to other bashing teams. So they could get injured because of that, because they just get knocked down more often. But they can be a pretty well-rounded team for the most part. You're more focused on scoring than trying to bash the other players. Bretonnian, I'm not really too familiar with them. I haven't played with them or against them. And these kind of look like Los Angeles Lakers jerseys. I'm not sure if that's a reference to the Lakers or not. But that's what the jerseys and the outfits look like. So it kind of gives you strengths and weaknesses here. So they do have some strengths as far as, again, mobility a little bit and being able to just bash people in with those kinds of plays. So they're kind of a mixed bag, I guess you could say, just based on this. So you have to kind of learn how to play with them. Chaos. Now, this is not a team that I've played with, but I think I've played against it a few times. And in lots of Let's Play footage, Chaos teams are basically about as popular as the Orc teams are. And some of the Let's Plays I've seen for Blood Bowl and seeing how other players play the game, Chaos tends to be very popular because they are a bash-heavy team and they're very good at blitzing. So they can tend to go ahead and take over a game by just removing several of your players early in the game and just bashing you to hell. And then they just kind of surround the ball or the ball carrier and make it difficult for you to get around them because they're just hard to they're hard to move off the ball once they get there. So because of that, Chaos tends to be a very popular choice. Oh, excuse me. A little bit of gas there. But basically, they tend to be popular because they're one of the best bashing teams, and it's difficult to really move them off the ball once they get there. So if you have a very finesse-oriented team, you might be able to score some touchdowns, but you will probably lose players in the process, which will make defense very difficult trying to deal with these guys. So really, this is a popular team, and if you're a finesse team, then you just have to accept the fact that they're going to take out some of your players. So you just have to kind of prepare yourself for that. But very strong team. Wood Elves, they're very finesse-oriented. They have lots of agility going for them. So that makes them very good at dodging and passing the ball and just kind of running their way around you. And they're just going to try and dodge around your players instead of trying to bash a way through to get a lane to run the ball. So they'll basically dodge around with some people, get behind your defense, and then they'll try and get one of their throwers or passers into a position to just throw it past your defense. And because they have really good agility, they're very good at catching the ball in those situations. And then they also come with a nice big old tree guy, or as you might call it, an Ent, if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings. They have a big tree man here that functions as their primary enforcer, because the rest of the Wood Elves aren't really good at that kind of role. So this guy does all the bashing and tries to hold the middle to give the rest of the Wood Elves enough time to dodge around and throw the ball and maneuver for a score. This does mean, however, that if you are a bashing team, they might score on you maybe once, but if you bash them in enough, then you can prevent them from being able to pass the ball around and from preventing them from getting behind your defense. And then when you're on offense, you can just bash through them without much difficulty. The tree man can cause some problems for that because they're hard to move around, but you can usually go around him and then just bash your way through the rest of their players. The Lizardmen, which is, I think this is going to be the team that I'm picking for my playthrough here. They seem like a very well-rounded team that functions a lot based on what kinds of skills that you choose for their players. They don't have very many different kinds of players to choose from. I think they only have maybe 3, which is basically small guy, big guy, and biggest guy. But they do have a very interesting team in that they are very strong, very mobile, and they can really hold the line while your small guys kind of figure out what to do as far as getting to the ball. Obviously, the disadvantages are that, well, since they don't start off with many skills, it's hard to throw the ball, and sometimes trying to get into scoring position can be kind of difficult if a team can get past you, like a finesse team. So if a finesse team goes up against you and they're able to dodge around your guys and get behind your defense, then that can be kind of a problem with these guys, but they are mobile enough to try and make up the ground if someone tries to dodge around them. So they're very mobile, very strong. They have some agile players that you're going to have to develop agility-based skills like passing and catching to really have a well-rounded team. But your front line is so strong that you probably will be able to win your early matches just from out-muscling your opponent. So that's the team I'm probably going to pick. Norse is a team that I've played before in the first Blood Bowl, and I'm very familiar with them and their abilities. They are a very versatile and strong team as well. All players starting with a block skill basically means that it's easier to take down other players without as much disadvantages. Like, block basically means that when you roll dice, there's certain things that happen and you can get different dice for different results. And one of the results that you can get is both down, but if you have the block skill, then both down won't take down your guy, only the other guy. So it's very good offensively and defensively to have the block skill because it makes you harder to move around and to knock down, and it makes it easier for you to knock the other people down when it's on offense. And so you have lots of opportunities to knock other players down, and then just kind of get in there and get the ball. And then they also have some throwing and passing abilities going on, and some frenzy, which means that you can go ahead and get more chances at knocking people down with high strength characters in some cases. The main disadvantage is that their armor value is very low, so if they get hit back and knocked down, then it's possible that you could get some bad injuries with them, or people get knocked out for the game. So that is a disadvantage to playing them, but they are one of the better teams in my experience, because having the block skill for everybody, except for their big Yeti here, their enforcer, and maybe these two guys, most of their players having the block skill basically means that it's hard to move them off the ball, and it's hard to knock them down in the first place. So if you can prevent getting knocked down as often, then the armor value isn't quite as much of a negative, because you can kind of get around that by just not getting knocked down as much. And so it makes setting up blocks a lot easier and bashing into your opponent. Oops, I pressed the wrong button there. I don't want to press next. I want to scroll through the other teams. You have Undead here, which I haven't played with them or against them really. I have seen them in some Let's Play footage. But basically, from my experience watching them through Let's Play footage, is that these big guys right here, these like Tomb Warriors, I think is what they're called. The Tomb Warriors are very strong. They're very great at bashing, as well as some of these other guys that they can send at you. So they're very good just knocking you around. They do have nice, well-rounded players for the most part, but for them, they do have to deal with sometimes their units will just go down, and due to them being undead, sometimes it's hard for them to get back up sometimes. And so they do tend to be versatile, but maybe not the most skills. And then sometimes if you don't have, again, circumstances in your favor, then players will just go down and they'll just stay down, and you'll have a hard time with that. But they're a very easy team to pick up and play, from what I understand and from what I've seen. Necromantic. This is another team that I've seen in Let's Plays before, but I haven't played with them or against them yet. These big guys, again, they're very good with enforcers here. They have these two big guys, which are great in the middle. They have these werewolves, which are great for blitzing and bashing in. And so they have very high mobility as well with their werewolves, and then like some of their undead are also very fast, while these guys hold the middle. But they're a very good team. I'm not sure if they're the best team, but they're definitely in the category of very good, and if you know how to use them, then they can match up against the best teams, because they do have lots of versatility and mobility, which is something that other players can lack sometimes. Being versatile can be very helpful while you have some very good bashing players. Nurgle, I have not played with or against them, but I've seen them quite a bit in Let's Play footage. They're also a pretty popular team, because they're, again, a very bash-heavy team. And lots of bash-heavy teams tend to be pretty popular on here, and again, high armor value, hard to take down. And so you can just keep bashing in, and you don't stop. They just keep on going. They just don't stop bashing, and they just keep on going and going. So again, poor ball handling, but if you get enough skills with one or two players, then poor ball handling can be taken care of by one of their somewhat decent agility players. If you can just get the right skills for their agility players, then they are very difficult to stop. They will just they will kick your shit in. That's the experience I've gotten from watching them in Let's Play footage. And then, because they have like tentacle type abilities, I think is what it is, or something like that, trying to dodge around them can be more difficult, and they kind of hold you in place and make it more difficult to dodge and work your way around them. So that's also another great thing about them. Khemri, I'm not really familiar with them. I guess they're just like an offshoot of undead type teams, and so you get lots of these tomb guardians or tomb warriors or whatever you want to call them, which are very strong at bashing, and they just hold the middle and they just bash and they kind of open up a path in the middle, and they prevent you from being able to get after the ball carrier, because they can kind of make a bit of a cage and it's very difficult to move any of them. So again, it's another probably strong team, but they don't seem like they're very well rounded because their players are more focused on bashing rather than trying to score and do those kinds of things. So again, might be a strong team, but you have to know how to play them. I haven't played with or against them. Chaos Dwarves are kind of similar to some of the other previous sorts of bashing teams. They just have some more enforcer type. They have some more enforcer type players on their team with some sturdy dwarves, and then some other players to kind of round out the team that normally dwarves wouldn't get because they're not very agile. So you can go ahead and get some very good, well-rounded teams with Chaos Dwarves. Maybe not as popular as some other teams from what I've watched in Let's Plays and how often people go up against teams. But they can be a very sturdy team, and again, a good bashing team is usually plenty viable on its own. Amazons, they are maybe a good team for a newer player because you get access to both block and dodge, so it's difficult to be able to move your players off the ball or to be able to bash your team in when you can avoid some of the dice rolls that can usually take you down, but with block and dodge that no longer happens. So they are a very solid team. They're probably the best finesse team if you're a newer player and you want to learn how to play a passing type team. Again, they don't have very high speed compared to some other teams like the Skaven or the Wood Elves or teams like that. But if you can throw the ball and dodge around people, then you can get around not having as much speed because all you have to do is just throw it and then you run in the rest of the squares or the rest of the movement for the score. So you can kind of get around speed a little bit. Vampires, another offshoot of undead teams, but they're basically the most well-rounded team in the game, I would say. They're probably, in my opinion, they're probably like a better version of the human team because they're very well-rounded. They have lots of very good players, and they have some pretty good starting skills to go with. Again, there's some situationally bad things, but as long as you can go ahead and just play things smart with vampires, they can be a very strong team. And so they're another kind of maybe newcomer-friendly team if you want to learn how to deal with special abilities and trying to come up with interesting strategies. If you don't mind the learning curve with them, then they can be a very fun team to play with, from what I've seen. Kislev Circus, I haven't played with or against them, but I've seen them in Let's Play footage. And they are basically a leaping type team to where they will try and leap and maneuver around the battlefield. They aren't necessarily a bash heavy team and they don't have very much armor. So they can be easy to knock around a lot. But if you're looking to make quick scores and to get lots of star player points, which is how you level up your characters with things like, you know, injuring players of the opposing team, scoring touchdowns, successfully completing a pass, and things like that. They can get you star player points very fast because you can just score faster in some cases. But again, winning the games, however, can be kind of difficult because they can get knocked around really easily. So on defense, they are very bad, from what I've seen. So a bash heavy team can definitely deal pretty well with them. Finesse teams, these guys can kind of maneuver around the finesse teams maybe a bit more than other teams can. Goblins, they are generally one of the weak teams. Again, if you can't bash very well and most of your players are just generally weak, then it makes it a bit harder. They do get some of these special players that can potentially be a big nuisance in the first portion of the game, but then in the second portion of the game, these special players are basically forced off of the field and are like, you can't do that, get out of here, you know, get those weapons out of here. So, like, if you can get an early advantage and get an early lead, you could win with goblins, but because they have low armor, they get injured often. Because they have low strength, they get knocked down often, which means more chances for injuries. And they aren't very good at throwing the ball because they're stunty, which means that they're basically tiny players. And there's some other races like the halflings that are also stunty. But basically, if you're stunty, it makes some things just much more difficult as far as some of these skills and some of the things that you do, like throwing, picking up the ball, things like that. I think I could be misremembering the downsides of stunty. But generally, stunty, if you have every player with it, or most of your players with it, it's a big disadvantage. It's good to have maybe, a couple of players on the team with stunty can be helpful, because that means you can dodge away a lot easier. So for some teams it's helpful, but for goblins, it's difficult to play with them. And you can usually beat the crap out of them if you're playing against them. Even though they have 2 trolls and special players, they are just very easy to knock around, and then you just go around them after you bash them in, and then you can score pretty easily on them. Halflings, as it says here, they are the worst team in Blood Bowl by far. And it's mainly just because they have no strength. They don't have very many useful skills with their halflings that actually make a difference. And they get knocked around a lot. They have low armor. They get just injured a bunch. And once they have the ball, you can basically just surround them and knock them around until they lose the ball, and then the game's pretty much over at that point. They're basically a go for broke team if you want to actually try and win with them, because the halfling players have this skill called the right stuff or something like that, or right stuff something, and that allows them to be thrown by their big tree men, enforcers, and you can try and toss them across the battlefield to try and score quickly and steal scores, as it were. It's like a trick play. It's like in American football, and like actual real American football, you would have like the flea flicker, or the reverse, or the Statue of Liberty play, or you'd have the what is it? You'd have reverses, different things that would try and confuse and confound the opponent, or the hook and lateral, things like that. So you're reliant on trick plays of your treemen tossing your halflings around the battlefield, or the football field. That's basically a battlefield. And you use your treemen to toss around the halflings to try and get quick scores that your opponent may not be able to stop in that one turn. So yeah, that's basically their only strategy that really works all that well. Other strategies will usually fail because you'll get surrounded by bashing players, and then you're not going to be able to dodge around all of them to get around and pass the ball. So yeah, they're the worst team, and I don't know why they allow. Maybe they're supposed to be the worst team because it's like a meme or something like that, or someone has to be the worst team. But you could steal a win with them occasionally, but long term, your good players are eventually going to get injured, and that's going to be very bad, and they're going to just remain a bad team because of that. So yeah, don't play with them unless you're looking for a challenge, or if you're just trying to meme your way to some wins for fun. Underworld Denizens. So these are an interesting team that I've seen in some Let's Play footage. I think there's a Let's Player called SB that played through with this team, and I watched some of his matches with this team. They are a fairly versatile team. They can bash. They don't have a whole lot of armor on a number of their players, but they have enough players that can bash to where they can get around the fact that they have goblins as players, which are generally very weak. But they have a troll for bashing in the middle. They have some talented blitzers, and then they have some good throwers. So usually what you do with this team is that you go ahead and you have the goblins provide assists for people trying to tackle and blitz, and you use them in a support sort of function that way. And then the rest of the players kind of do most of their legwork, and then their throwers can kind of throw the ball to get it to an open player that can eventually kind of score a touchdown. So again, they're a versatile team, but they do have somewhat low armor value on their players, so you could lose occasionally a player with this team, but they're definitely a decent team. Maybe not the best team, but because they get access to mutations when you level up your characters, which is basically like a special kind of way to level up a character, or it's a unique kind of ability that you can choose when you level up a character. But normally most teams have a hard time selecting mutations because you have to roll really well on leveling up to get that. So because you get access to early mutations, you can get some interesting abilities much sooner. And so over time, when you get a whole bunch of mutations on your players, that can add a really big wrinkle to the game. Ogres are considered to be a poor team, not because ogres are necessarily bad, but because the downsides of having a bunch of enforcers on the same team gets really difficult because some of the downsides to using them. Bonehead is the downside, so every time that you try and perform an action with someone with the Bonehead trait, you have to roll a d6, and if you roll a 1, then they basically fail to do that, and then they are not able to protect against the other players. They're not able to provide assistance when you're trying to tackle people or trying to force people to dodge away. So, yeah, having a lot of boneheads can have some big downsides. Now, again, they're very good at bashing with the ogres, but their little noblars here are basically you have lots of really good players, and then some really not so good players. So the noblars are basically, you try and score with the noblars as best you can, and you hope that your ogres can beat the crap out of the other team before the other team can get to your noblars. Because the ogres are not very good at handling the ball, sadly. So, but yeah, they're a very difficult team to get a handle on. They could be frustrating to play against if you're a finesse team, just because you might lose some players to getting bashed in a lot, but I mean, it's not a very good team to play with because it's just hard to win the games as far as scoring with them. So yeah, you're better off playing the orcs as a bashing type team that features a lot of bashing players on the field, or maybe one of the undead teams also in place of the ogres. Elven Union, another very agile elf type team, very good at being able to throw and pass the ball and catch the ball, and they don't have the same kind of armor value that the high elves get, and so because of that the linemen can go down sometimes, and they're kind of cannon fodder for this team. But even being cannon fodder, sometimes the linemen can still make plays for you because they get good agility, and so like other elf teams, they get good agility on all of their players. And so all of them are very versatile type players despite poor armor value. And their blitzers are probably the best all-around players in the game because they have lots of movement, lots of armor value, they have good agility, they have the block skill. They can catch passes reasonably well because of their agility. And they can make use of it because they aren't going to get knocked away from the ball, or they aren't going to get tossed around a whole lot because they get the block skill. So they don't get injured much, they have block, they have high agility, they are probably the best all-around players in the game. But again, the linemen are more cannon fodder for this team. So you have strong blitzers and strong passers and runners. But the linemen are a cannon fodder for the team. So you have to get used to losing a couple of players with this team. But they're a very good team if you want to play a passing team. They're probably the team I would recommend for a new player if you want to play a passing type team. And it's a good way to get a lot of star player points if you're passers or your quarterbacks. And so again, we're back at the first team, which was the humans. So I went through a lot of the teams there and what their general strengths and weaknesses are from my general experience, having either watched other players through Let's Play footage and watching how they play the game and seeing the teams in action over time, and some of the bits of playing the first Blood Bowl and the occasional bit of Blood Bowl 2, which I hadn't played much of. But I think we're going to go with the Lizardmen team. We're going to go all the way back around here, and we're going to play with them, and we're going to rely a lot on the skills as they level up, defining a lot about the team and how we're going to play the games. So we're going to go with the Lizardmen here, and onwards, my lizards! And so, what do we want for the team name? Well, I'm thinking of a team name. I'm going to look for a team logo that I feel is appropriate. So let's see what kind of logos that we got in here. And it's nice that they have a pretty decent selection of logos to choose from. You know what? I think that's a good logo here. We're going to get a thumbs up. A whole bunch of thumbs up. We're going to bash them in, and then we're going to give the thumbs up like, yeah, high five, dude. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure exactly what language that Lizardmen would speak in, but I'm sure that in whatever language that they speak, they're going to be giving high fives and lots of trash-talking the other team, probably, as they bash the other team in, I guess. Some teams are better at trash-talking than others, I bet. I'm sure that the elves have lots of zingers that their bards give them. But, yep, let's go ahead and jersey. What kind of jersey do we want here? Ooh, that's an interesting one. Red diamonds. You know, I wonder if I'll be able to go ahead and get team colors that match the Kansas City Chiefs colors, which are generally red and white with a bit of gold striping involved. So we've had some red color schemes here that I have to pick from. Not exactly sure how many color schemes that they have in here, but they do have quite a few. They have quite a few colors that you can choose from in here. Alright, so now I think we're back at the beginning here, so I think we're going to go with one of the red and white or red and gold ones to kind of match the Kansas City Chiefs colors. So that one I think actually comes very close to the Chiefs colors. It's red and gold. No red and white in there, but red and gold comes very close. This also comes a bit close, but I think, unless there's something else, there's one other one that was pretty close. Red armor, maybe. I think we're going to go with the red and gold one back here. That one comes pretty close to looking like what the Chiefs color scheme is, the Kansas City Chiefs. And that is my pro team that I root for. So we're going to go with them, and they're red and gold. And so we're going to go with a reference to the Kansas City Chiefs here, and they're going to be the Sea of Red. The Sea of Red is a reference to the Kansas City Chiefs home stadium, because a lot of the fans that go to the games there end up wearing red home colored jerseys. It ends up looking like a sea of fans wearing red, so they call it the Sea of Red because there's lots of fans that show up to home games for the Chiefs. They get probably the biggest turnout of any NFL team as far as home fans that attend their games, and so it's definitely an experience because I've been to about at least a dozen or so games over my life, and so I've seen it in person many times. And so it is very accurate. There's lots of red in the stadium when the stands get filled. So in pre-COVID, they were obviously very, very filled before COVID took over. So, and now the team motto. What should we have for the team motto? And we're going to go with Basham, Crash bash 'em, crash 'em. And then what would be another good rhyme here? Bash 'em, crash 'em. And then maybe we can go with... bash 'em, crash 'em. Bash 'em... or bash 'em and crash 'em. Let's do that one. Bash 'em and crash 'em. My lizards. Oops. We have typos, typos, typos. Bash 'em and crash 'em, my lizards. We're just going to assume that, like the team manager or the coach or whoever, maybe is non-lizard, and is maybe like a human or some other kind of humanoid that kind of runs the team and calls the shots. So we're just going to do bash 'em and crash 'em, my lizards. In the sea of red, and there'll probably be a lot of red on the field if we just bash the other team in and just make them bleed out from injuries. So now we want to go ahead and pick a stadium here. I'm not sure which one would be most thematic. There's nothing wrong with the Badlands. It kind of reminds me the most of Arrowhead Stadium. And now the stadium name. What do we want to pick for our stadium name? How about we go with Tooth Thing? Tooth Thing Stadium. No, I don't want my assistants to deal with the team because I know how to hire players, so I think I can handle that on my own. But yeah, you have to go ahead and build a team of players in the maximum roster size of 16 players. And generally the better players will cost more money, and you have a set amount of money that you can use to buy your players and fill up your team. You're going to have to fill it up with some cheap players early on. So I'm not going to be able to have 6 Saurus on my team at the start because I need to have these basic sorts of skink players that are kind of the cannon fodder type players. Cannon fodder, but they are the best agility players that we have. So they are going to be important for us. Let's see here. Whoops. Alright, so I can give them different names and stuff here if I want to. So we'll go ahead and go with... I don't know if I want to go with names of actual players or if I want to go with names of maybe famous people. If I was a more well-known Let's Player with lots of subscribers, I could go through a list of subscribers and people that follow my videos and name players after them, but since I don't necessarily have the fan base just yet, I'm going to just go ahead and come up with my own names. So we're going to go with Tenkuloticus. And then we're going to go ahead and give you a different head. There we go, with goofy looking eyes. Don't know if we want bloodshot eyes. How about the blue eyes? We'll give you blue eyes and some little tattooery going on there. You can also randomize the players if you don't want to spend time going through all of them. Let's go with the big guy here. And with him, we're just going to do sort of a reference to Croc Hunter Yeah, boy. And rest in peace, Steve Irwin. We all loved you, and I am somewhat glad that Steve Irwin's children are taking kind of after him, and they really love animals, from what I understand. I've followed Steve Irwin's son on Twitter, actually, and he actually quite enjoys animals a lot, and so it's kind of nice to see that continuing on in the family, because I also kind of love animals in my own way. So, alright, so that looks kind of like a dinosaur there, but it looks like it's just a really overgrown lizard dinosaur hybrid with a mace for a tail, it looks like. I mean, look at that thing. That could really do some damage, it looks like. So you can see that he has some different skills here that we're going to have to worry about. Loner, which is one of the downsides. Almost every single enforcer type player that you can get, which is basically a very high strength bashing type player, will usually have at least one downside skill that they have, which is like a trait that they start off with no matter what. So a loner basically means that we're going to have a difficult time using rerolls on him. So rerolling, so if we're going to go ahead and have him bash, we want to make sure that he has a good amount of dice to work with, because we're not going to be able to reroll effectively if we roll poorly when trying to bash with him. And then bonehead, which basically means anytime that they do an action, they could basically just forget to do it. But these are, in my opinion, manageable downsides. As long as you make good decisions, loner may not come up much if you don't need to reroll much. So if you have multiple dice to roll when you're trying to attack other players with him, then loner won't come up quite as much. It'll be a pain in the butt when it does, and if you're trying to reroll bonehead, loner makes it a lot more difficult to get them going if bonehead activates. But since this is only a 1 in 6 chance of activating bonehead, it's actually not too bad most of the time. If you have to reroll it though, it gets pretty painful if loner prevents you from rerolling it. But mighty blow is a very good positive to have, and it's something that most of these enforcers have. It makes it a lot easier to go ahead and injure the other players, which basically is a very good thing because you can get them out of the game. And you can also gain star player points if you seriously injure an opposing player. So the main way that he's going to level up is by bashing opposing players and injuring them, along with some of our other bashing type players. Prehensile tail basically makes it more difficult to dodge away from him, so a finesse team will have a more difficult time trying to find their way around him if they are faced with the prospect of trying to deal with this guy. And then thick skull. It's very difficult to injure him. Along with a high armor value, thick skull basically makes it very difficult to injure him. So very good offensively forcing injuries, very good defensively as far as not getting hurt and having a high strength. And then prehensile tail makes it difficult to dodge away from him if you're engaged with him. So this is an all-around very good player, I would think. And then we have our Saurus, which is basically sort of our stock of bashing type player that they aren't quite as strong, and they don't have the same starting abilities that our Enforcer does. But these guys, they don't have any downsides, and you can round them out with their skills. So basically you can choose strength-based skills to try and round them out as time goes along. So let's see, what's looking pretty... Oh, that's looking mighty good, mighty threatening there. We got the spiked horns going on in there, and the spiked head. Maybe he'll be able to bash into people really hard. And then we'll go with Horned Frog for you. Reference to the TCU college football team. I don't know if... Well, maybe frog isn't really the right term for him, so we're going to go with something different. We're going to go with horned... what's a good name for him? Horned... Praetor. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good name here. Horned... I don't know, maybe we can turn him into a blitzer, maybe. Horned... Lizblitz. There we go. That's a good name for him. He's gonna bring the Lizblitz to the team. Hopefully down the line we can get him some good skills for blitzing, maybe like break tackle, which will make him focus more on strength for trying to get around the battlefield. Alright, let's get another one of these guys. And we'll go with head 1 for this guy. And we'll go with the Mad Basher for you. Another very menacing looking player there with the red and gold of the Chiefs on there. Alright, so we're running out of money here because we have to have a budget. So we've bought 4 players so far. And so we spent 140k, so they're the enforcers that are the most expensive. Then your secondary players are also decently expensive, and then your cannon fodder or lineman type players are the least expensive to buy and also the least expensive to replace. Which again is why the bashing teams tend to be the most popular, because if you don't have to replace players and have a good armor value for your important players, then you save money over time and you keep players that have leveled up much more often. So I like having these Lizardmen enforcers that have a very high armor value, so they aren't going to get hurt very often. So calculate this out here. We'll get some of these more cannon fodder type guys. Alright, we'll go with head 1 for you as well. And then we're gonna go with Hope of Paxalala, or Palulaxa. And hopefully we'll be able to turn this guy maybe into a receiver of some kind, someone that can maybe catch passes. Though stunty does make some things a bit more difficult. So easier to get hurt. Yeah, so basically stunty means that it's easier to get hurt, but it's easier to dodge. So someone like this can be a very good receiver because you can dodge very easily to score touchdowns, and they have high movement. So again, hopefully we'll be able to get this guy going to be a very good receiver for us. Alright, then let's go with this guy. Mazadupina. Alright, so we're going to just call him... This will be like the Diva player, maybe, with a nickname. Maz the Daz. There we are. For people that are familiar with pro football, sometimes the people that play the wide receiver position, they tend to be... Sometimes they're considered divas with their attitude. They can be... maybe not problem players, but maybe the idea is more that they have a high ego of themselves, and so they tend to be very opinionated, and hence the word diva. So sometimes that can be a thing amongst real-life players. Now that's just by reputation. I'm not saying that applies to everyone. That only applies to some people, but usually people notice it more with players like that because they get the ball. And so Maz the Daz. I'm not sure what we're going to do with him. He might just... he might be a general lineman player. Maybe we'll have him be... maybe he can be a blitzer of some kind if he gets a strength bonus at some point. But for the most part, he is just going to be a general all-purpose player. I may forget some of these ways I'm trying to theme the players when we level them up, but I'm going to try and do my best, maybe to try and fit with the theme where possible. Now let's randomize this one and see if we can... Mazda of Itza. Mazda as in the car manufacturer. We got a randomly generated car manufacturer in the name, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep that. And I'll keep your face as well. We need someone with a weird little face. Hopefully he doesn't look like he's seen like any car crashes or anything like that with those weird looking eyes. But yeah, hopefully we're going to get him, and maybe we'll get him a movement boost at some point to have him be like a car that goes very fast. He can be a very fast runner and receiver, and he can just blaze his way out of there for touchdowns. I forget how many players that we need. I think it's maybe 10 or 11 players, I think. I forget just how many are needed to field a team. We have 7 players right now. We're going to need more of the cannon fodder. Weird eyes going with that. And we'll get head number 2 with you, with your little orange insect-looking eyes. And we're going to go with is the coddle. Okay, and so you sounds like it's a very electric sounding name, so maybe he can go ahead and get some electric plays going for us. Make some big plays for us. Get the crowd roaring. And then we'll go ahead and go with another player. That is a super hard to pronounce name. I had no idea that those names existed. You know what? We're just going to go ahead and take out that early portion of the name, and we're going to go with Mundentike. Or Mundentique. Maybe Mundentique sounds better. Mundentique, welcome to the team. Let's go ahead and get your crazy eyes going here. Alright, we'll go with another blue eye. Maybe green eye. Maybe we'll need one with green eyes here. They are lizards after all. Green, a very common color amongst them. Okay, so we have more money still, so I think we want another enforcer. Looks like they have lots of nose piercings on their team. Alright, that looks pretty good. Kind of fits with the team theme a bit. And then we're going to go with rocks in your socks. Or maybe we can go with something else. Maybe we'll do a randomized name and see what we come up with here. Of gold. Well, that's actually on theme with our team. We'll just change the head around here to the one that we wanted before. And we're going to go with rocks of gold. Very on brand with the team and our team colors, so that sounds very good to me. Alright, and we have, I think, close to enough players to field a team. We'll need a little bit of money left over to be able to get additional players here, or to be able to replace players in the future. Okay, so we'll go with one more of these guys. We'll have an enforcer heavy team. Let's go with random and see what kind of names that the game gives us here. Colt Shix! Almost sounds, you know, we're just gonna go with no comment. Colt Shix. I think we'll go with Cole Shix. Or maybe we can get Bull Shix. Cole Shix. Yeah, I think we'll just go with Cole Shix. And we'll avoid we'll avoid the extreme language where possible in the names. We'll try and avoid the innuendos and the four-letter type words, the curse words. But you'll probably hear me using some curse words in the game to describe things and to insinuate something happening, I guess. But Cool Shix, welcome to the team. Then we'll get one more of these guys, so that way our leftover money does not contribute to our team value. It's better just to get a spare player, if at all, so that way if someone gets injured, then you can do that. And we'll go with Hook Swat. I don't know, that sounds like Puke Swat. I don't want to... Maybe I want to avoid a player named Puke. Maybe we can name him something else. I'll just call him Fly Swat. He is our designated Fly Swatter. We're going to swat some noisy flies, I imagine, playing this game. What's a good fly swatting face look like? Ah, that looks like it. So maybe we'll turn him into a blitzer at some point if we get the right skills, or maybe a strength boost of him, and we'll have him swat the noisy flies. There we go, Fly Swatter. We'll have you, welcome you to the team. Maybe you'll go ahead and be of some heavy use to us. Alright, I think we'll keep our leftover money for now. In case we need it for something. Team rerolls, I think, are something that we'll probably need for our team. 12 players is, I think, enough. We have enough enforcers. And team rerolls basically allow you to reroll things that you fail at or that aren't really desirable results for the dice rolling. And so our team reroll allows you that number of rerolls per each half. There are 2 halves to a game, similar to like soccer or something like that. So you have a first half and then a second half. It's not divided into quarters the way that real American football is. But you have 2 halves, and so having, I guess we can't get the team rerolls yet. Maybe we have to purchase our players first. But yeah, we can purchase these things, I guess, after we're done with our players. And I think 12 is enough, and that should be good enough to start with. Alright, now we can purchase some of the necessities. So we don't have too much left over for these, but we can go ahead and get an apothecary, which protects you from injuries. Thankfully, our important bashing players aren't going to be too heavily affected by injuries, but if it does happen, you want at least one apothecary, so that way if a player dies, you can prevent them from being removed from the team. Because if an expensive player gets removed from the team, then it's hard to replace them, and if it's someone that's leveled up a good bit, it can also be hard to replace them. It'd be nice if you could have more than one apothecary, but I guess it's more of a balancing thing to make losing players a part of the game, and you just have to hope that it's not your better players. Then we'll go with a team reroll, because we want at least one reroll for an important part of the match. And then we could go with these, but those add to our team value. So early on, I'm not going to go with them until our team is leveled up a little bit. and then the team value won't matter quite as much because we're just more worried about winning and just taking advantage of what our team does well. So over time we'll add more rerolls, but for now we'll just have one, which we'll have to get it done, but our enforcers are going to have decently good dice rolls for bashing people, so hopefully we don't need to use many rerolls in the first place. And so we have our team here, and this is like our team photo. I think in the first game it was just more of a static image without lots of animations and them moving around. In this game they kind of added animations for the team picture portion. And then we'll look at the roster, and the final roster of the initial roster of our team is Tenkularicus, Croc Hunter, Horned Lizblitz, the Mad Basher, Hope of Pahaxulalaksa, Mazdaz, Mazda of Itza, Izdakadol, Mundatik, Rocks of Gold, Kolshix, and Fleiswater. Alrighty, so that is our team. And so we're going to just reorder our players a little bit here. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. We already looked at the players for the most part. We know kind of what their abilities are. I don't know why we have to wait for the server, but that's okay. So I want to put my more bash heavy players here at the bottom just for easy organization here. And then my agile players will be more at the top. And so now I have good organization here of my players. So strong people go down here, and then the agile ones, they go up there. Alrighty then. Now let's go ahead. And now that we have a team, now I think it's time to go ahead and get the ball rolling of playing some games here. No statistics club. Okay, so we can choose our cheerleaders. So what kind of cheerleaders do we want? We'll just go with human. We'll say that they have humanoid tastes and cheerleaders. I forget, how do we go ahead and play the games here? So there should be like a competition thing that we can do here with our team. Eternal League. What's Eternal League? I don't quite remember this. Brand new solo mode. Eternal League allows you to play competitions alone against the AI. Choose up to 3 competitions to compete per period. Season. And it's 4 periods. Both you and your opponent's teams will evolve from competition to competition and from season to season. Interesting. And so what's the other method of playing here? So I guess this is like a similar thing to there are like leagues and stuff that you could play in that were just sort of like single player, sort of like a single campaign. It's not like a story campaign type thing. So that might be the mode that I'm looking for, but I'm not quite sure. I want to double check here. So let's go ahead and, I don't know if campaign is the mode that I'm looking for. Yeah, so we'll skip through this to skip the cutscene. I'm just trying to see if this is the mode that I want. Alright, so this might be more of a story mode, which I'm not looking to play. I'm just looking to play a particular team. So we'll skip the campaign and we'll just do the play in a league mode here. And so I guess we'll just go ahead and play in this league here with the Sea of Red Lizards. And let's see how this competition goes. Oh, league settings? I don't know if we can do that. Turn duration's fine. Oh, it doesn't tell me what these are. Alright, so we'll keep the enhancement and kickoff events. Those are generally good. Okay, so yeah, I think we're just going to go and do the join competition button here. And I guess this is like the opening thing that we can do with the league. So let's register then. And then I guess if you are one of the top 2 ranked teams in this championship round, then you can go on to the next one, which would be the Outcast Cup, or the Chaos Cup competition. Alright, so which one is that? Oh, it's all the way down here. Alright, so there's some different events that we can do here, but we're going to go ahead and do this one, just to be the opening event. And we're going to try and springboard our team into leveling up a little bit, so where we can eventually compete against the better teams in these other events. Wow, it is generating a lot of teams. Okay. But yeah, I think it generates a lot of teams because it just needs a lot of competition, or a lot of potential competition, and then down the line it'll narrow a bit as far as who your competition is, because only so many teams will end up being good teams and will progress the same way that you can. Alright, so we're going up against a Norse team for our first opponent. What does their team look like? Alright, so since this is the first match for all the teams, no one has any star player points yet, which is how you level up here, SPP. You need 6 star player points to level up to the first level, and then for future levels you have to earn more than 6 star player points to level up in future levels. So the star player points that you need to level up as you go along increases each time that you level up. But if you get players that are good enough, they can end up getting quite a few of them from scoring touchdowns, for example, or from bashing people in a lot more. So again, the Norse, or the Viking sort of team as they're called, most of their players have the block skill here. Even their linemen have it, so it's going to be difficult to move them around, but if we can bash them in with our strong Lizardmen, then their low armor value could allow us to take some of them out of the game, I'm hoping. And then they have some berserkers here with Dauntless, which makes it a lot easier for them to deal with people when blitzing. And so because they have Dauntless, they have block. Or here's berserkers. Dauntless was on one of the runners, I believe. Yeah, the runners have Dauntless, so they can do well in blitzing for that purpose. So they are a very versatile blitzer, as well as being able to run around very well, I believe. Yeah, so blocking players that are stronger than him, such as our enforcers, could be easier for the runners. And so again, they all have block, they have a thrower, they do not have an enforcer. The Norse team does get access to a very strong Yeti enforcer, but they don't have one on the team yet. Maybe because they didn't have enough money to get one, because the rest of their players are a bit expensive. But they are a very well balanced team. They have a thrower, they have a runner, and then they have semi-enforcers here that don't have block, but they do have frenzy, so with their 4 strength, they could knock around our little guys, or little Lizardmen. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it here real quick and take a quick drink, and then I'll be right back to start the match. Our very first match with our Lizardmen team. Okay, I am back from the pause and the quick beverage break with my water and my orange juice. As you've probably noticed, I like drinking orange juice while recording. It's a nice, good drink. Alright, so I do have some petty cash here, but there's not much that you can really buy with only 10k of petty cash. You can end up gaining an extra apothecary if you have enough petty cash to throw around, but we don't have anywhere near that much money. And there's also star players that you can also pick, which have lots of really strong abilities, but unfortunately you don't get to keep them on your team. They're only for the one game. So usually they're not something that you want to pick because they can end up taking star player points from your other players during the match. So unless you have lots of injured players and you're not able to field a full team, you're not usually going to take a star player with petty cash, which is basically the cash that you have to spend if the other team has more overall team value than you, either due to their quality of players, how much that their players have leveled up, and other sorts of enhancements that they get, like lots of team rerolls or things like that that they have laying around. And so you can get extra team rerolls. Budweiser Babes is a reference to Budweiser, the beer company. You end up having a better chance of players waking up from KOs, which is a form of injury. So if you can wake up from KOs, you can keep more players in the match longer. And then extra rerolls is for the team training. A wizard can end up throwing around fireballs or lightning bolts to give you a potential advantage at key moments of the game, so potentially very useful. Bribes, not usually too useful, but they are there. You can end up committing fouls on players that are downed, so if a player's already knocked down, then you can't continue to go ahead and beat the crap out of them while they're on the ground. You can only knock down or beat up on players that are still standing. You can bribe people so that way, or you can bribe the referees to allow yourself to get away with some more fouls. And there are also there's also one skill called Dirty Player that allows you to get away with fouls more often if you want to try and take calculated risks with that to try and take out their best player. Halfling Master Chef. It's basically a way to go ahead and give yourself an extra buff with team rerolls here. So it's an extra way to get team rerolls. The halfling team does get a major discount on being able to hire the Master Chef, but the halfling team is so horrible that it's not really a factor anyway to them being able to win or lose. And then again, an extra apothecary can be very useful. Alright, so we're going to go ahead here because we're not going to buy anything with petty cash. I don't know why we have to wait so long for the match to start, but there it is. But yeah, you can go ahead and check out the star players if you're interested in seeing what they all do. I don't think I'm going to be using any star players because I'm pretty happy with the players that I have, and I want to get them as many star player points as possible and not have any other players that aren't going to be around with us for very long taking the star player points from us. And if you run out of players to be able to field a team, then you can gain sort of replacement players for individual matches, so that way you can field a team. There we are, the Sea of Red. Alright, so if you win the coin toss, you can choose to either kick or receive to start off the game. Alright, so we're going to be in defense, And so that means that we generally want to go ahead and get our players up here. We want to get them up to the line. Oops, I do not want to do that. Let's get you over there. Generally what you want are tackle zones. And a tackle zone basically means that any adjacent square to a player, for example, if they go down here, then if they want to go over to here or to here, for example, running through a tackle zone forces them to make a dodge attempt. And if you are not able to successfully dodge, you get knocked down, and it counts as a turnover, which basically means that they lose their turn, and then it goes to the opposing team's turn early. Oh, I can't have more than two players there, okay. So, because I don't really foresee myself getting knocked around all that much, I'm going to put my guys pretty close in here. The Viking or the Norse aren't really a dodging team, so I don't really have to worry too much about them trying to flank behind us. So I'm going to put them up there to be able to make it difficult for them to get through here, or to be able to push their way through the middle. And then I guess you guys on the edges might be able to move over here, since these guys have these tackle zones taken care of. If they want to blitz one of these small guys, that's fine. I don't really mind that too much. And then we'll save this setup. And I guess we don't get to name it, do we? Okay, we'll just do defensive setup 1. And we'll confirm the setup, and then the match will begin, and they will set up in their own formation here. And so we can kick it. Later on, we might be able to give one of our players a kicking type skill to make our kicking much more accurate, so that way we can aim our kicks much better. But for now, you're forced to kind of put it in the middle of the field, so that way the ball doesn't bounce out of bounds. Same as in American football, in real life, kicking the ball out of bounds means that the offense gets a nice head start. Alright, so this is like a kickoff event called Quick Snap. Kickoff events happen before every kickoff, which is either at the start of a half or each time after a team scores. Alright, so they're maneuvering their players around here, trying to get into a good position. Looks like they might be thinking of handing the ball off, maybe. Alright, so they're going to blitz my guy down here. That's okay. Their ball carrier's all the way over there, so the blitz doesn't affect us too much. Alright, so I'll go ahead and let me go to the settings real quick here. I might want to change general, maybe. We'll go with cutscenes for the armor breaks, I guess. Because I don't want it to happen every time that someone gets knocked down. So we'll go with that one. We don't need to see a cutscene every time someone gets knocked down. Alright, so now we have some options here. We have one block over here that we can go ahead and, I think, get some good dice going with. For now, we're going to go ahead and move. We're going to set up some blocks here first and get some tackle zones going. And I think we want to move you over here, I think. Go ahead and tie up this player. We can go ahead and blitz with this guy probably, so we can blitz him over there. And then I think we can go ahead and just try and set things up over here for a very nice block. Alright, so let's go ahead and select you, and you can get 2 blocks here. That's very nice. Let's go for it. Alright, so they don't have dodge, so this thing is going to knock them down. And I'm going to go and put them over there because it's going to be a lot easier for me to try and knock them out of bounds with one of these guys if I put him there. And we're just going to go ahead and stay here. Knock him down. And then I think we'll go ahead and try and get him on the ball carrier. We want this guy freed up so that way he can move around if we want to later, and so that no one can block him right away. So we're going to get Maz the Daz and get him in there, and so he's going to go ahead and get on the ball carrier. So it's going to be hard for him to be able to throw the ball, and it's also going to be harder for him to hand off the ball, I think. Unless you have certain skills, it's more difficult to do certain tasks if you have an opposing player right next to you. And then we're just going to stand you up. And we're going to get you into this guy's kind of tackle zone here, prevent him from moving around. And then we're going to go ahead, I think we're going to go ahead and do some blocks on the interior here first. Maybe we'll start with this 2 dice block. Alright, we got him knocked down, and we're going to have him go... this way. We're going to stay so that way we can provide an assist on blocking this guy later. Hopefully we can get a lot of dice going. And let's go with this. Alright, and so they don't have dodge, so this stumble him down is going to knock him down. And we're going to go that way. And we're going to stay once again. And we got an armor break on him with the cutscene there. And we stunned him. So you can see all the dice rolls down here affect things like if it's an armor break, so you have to roll 8 or higher for an armor break. And then an injury, rolling higher means a worse injury that we inflict on them. I think you have to roll 8 or higher to get a significant injury of some kind, like a KO. And then even higher for badly hurt, which knocks them out of the game. And then we're going to go with our big dude here. We're going to get 3 dice. So we don't have to worry about a reroll with him and his loner trait. And so we're going to knock him that direction. And we're going to follow this time to make a nice tackle zone. And we knocked another guy out. And we stunned him. Nice. And then we're going to do a thing called a blitz here. You can go ahead and confirm it there, or you can just go ahead and click on a player that's far away and needs to blitz him to get there. And so similar to American football, basically means you're sending someone out to go ahead and lay the hurt down on someone. And so it's the one way for you to be able to move and attack with the same player in that same turn. And we're going to go ahead and follow. It's basically free movement for him. And since he blitzed, he can also move after attacking. We don't want to go for it. We have to go around someone to get around the tackle zone. Oh, we weren't... the timer ran out there, so we weren't able to go ahead and get the move command there in time. But knocking him down was still good for us. We wanted to be able to move over here somewhere. And then you saw a skill called Jump Up that basically makes it easier to retain your movement speed after you get up from being downed. And because they have block, they were able to avoid the downside of both down. And you can kind of tell what the dice are here once you get used to the game. You can also look at these and realize what they are with enough experience and getting to know what these things are just from the icons. And so they tried to dodge and they were unsuccessful in their endeavor. They They used a reroll on it, and then they were once again unsuccessful because it was a very high difficulty dodge. They had to roll a 5 or higher on a d6 dice to be able to successfully dodge. So usually if it's a high difficulty thing, it's usually only something that you do out of desperation, or if someone gets a built-in reroll of a feature like being able to pass the ball really well, and you're trying to make a long pass because you really need a touchdown, then in a situation like that, it's probably worth the risk in some cases to deal with a high difficulty. So some of their players are still down because we stunned them, but we do have some options here of being able to stop them in their tracks. We are going to go ahead and get him right on the ball carrier. We could have tried blitzing the ball carrier there, but it's going to be difficult to do that because there's 2 downed players, so it's hard to get an assist on him and trying to take care of him. We are first going to go ahead and move you over here and get an assist. So when you have a player that isn't locked up by an opposing player, like you don't have an opposing player next to you, then you can get an assist on someone, which means that you contribute to a blocking attempt, essentially. You can see it here. It adds additional strength to the block, basically. And same for the opposing players. They can assist someone else in defending from a block with their tackle zones. And so we're going to try this to try and get more guys next to the ball carrier here. Alright, very good. Move him down there. And we're going to follow because we want him right next to the ball carrier. And we knocked him out. So a KO is a step above stunning them, and then after KO is badly hurt. I want to skip this because I'm not even the one determining if they're going to stay in the game or not. Okay, so we probably want to go ahead and use a blitz on this guy right here. This side over here is kind of locked down a little bit already, so we're going to try and get in here. I think we're going to try and assist with this guy right here. And then we are going to go ahead and take this guy around and blitz him with a 2-dice block. Alright, and that's what we got. That's called a POW generally. POW basically means that you always knock them down no matter what. And we are going to get right on the ball carrier here. They are surrounded by bodies over here, and over here they have several people that are trying to just maul him to death. So we're just going to go ahead and put him right here to make it difficult for him to get through here. And then this guy is going to go ahead and put a tackle zone over here. And then he is going to go ahead and I think he's going to just stick over here, I think. Alright, so he didn't do bonehead, that's good. And then you guys are just going to stay there because you're not going to be very good at blocking. Kind of used all of our time there, but we weren't going to go ahead and move these guys anyway. We just want to lock down their players so that way if they try and dodge away, they have to make a dodge roll first, which means that the more times you force them to dodge, then that means that's the more chances that you get for them to fail a roll of some kind. So they're going to have a very hard time getting in there because we have lots of guys in there right now. And if there's a player that's like down, then you can't move through their space. You have to basically go around them. So if there's a bunch of bodies that are down, then it's going to be difficult to move around them. We're going to go ahead and use dodge here to make sure that we don't go down. Alright, and he got knocked down anyway, but that's okay. We've ended up tying up two of their pretty good quality players here with one of their enforcers and a lineman for one of our weak guys. So, and we have several players that are on the ball right now, so we're going to stand him up. And we're going to stand him up too, just because we want to tie those players up and make it easier for us to get the ball. And then we're going to go ahead and try and get an assist, I think, on this guy down here, I think. In case we end up trying to get him later. And then we want to get you all up as well. I'm standing them up first before doing any rolling, so that way I can tie up their players. In case anything bad happens here, then at least everyone is standing up already. And then we can move you. I think we can go ahead and first get in with the big guy. We're going to go ahead and move one of you over here to give an assist, I believe. Still only 2 dice. We could move this guy over here to give another assist, which is, I think, what I'll do. And then the big guy should be able to get 3 dice. Very good. Yes, that's very favorable here. And then we're not going to move him into the ball carrier. We don't want the ball carrier to move. And then we're just going to go ahead and move you over here to make it a bit easier. And then we're going to follow, so that way we can get a nice big dude in there with an assist. And then, can you get over there? Yes, you can. So we just want to surround the ball carrier here. We don't want him going anywhere. And then you can get 2 dice. I think we're going to go with 2 dice on this guy first, and then this guy can go ahead and attack the ball carrier without anyone assisting the ball carrier so much. Alright, so this is actually a good result. So we're going to move him over there and away from the ball carrier. So now he is no longer assisting the ball carrier, and now we can get, I think, 3 dice. Well, maybe not 3 dice, I guess. I thought that I would get 3 dice, but apparently not. But 2 is still good. Okay, so we knock him down here. That's very good. And then we are just going to... I guess it's a better idea to follow and cast around the ball here. And yeah, so we're not going to bother with a reroll here. It's not going to cause us a turnover. And then can you do anything? You cannot. Alright, I think that's going to end our turn. So the ball did roll over there. It's not quite as favorable for us because they do have more guys that can get over here and knock us off the ball. So that was just kind of some unfortunate luck, but thankfully this guy is not a good ball carrier or their good ball carriers are the runners. And I think their runners aren't in the middle right now. And they failed to dodge, and so they'll have to use their last reroll for the half. And so they failed to pick up the ball, and that results in a turnover for them. So failing to pick up the ball, failing at a pass or a handoff, failing a dodge roll, and then getting a player knocked down when you're trying to bash someone. Those are things that generally result in a turnover for you. Alright, so we want him on the ball here, even if he's going to get knocked around. That's what he's for. We do need a way to free up one of our skinks here, one of our little guys, so that way he can... Oh, excuse me. So that way he can go ahead and pick up the ball. And so that way we can try and score here, because this field is completely open if we get the ball. It is completely wide open if we can get the ball. So what do we do here? I think we're going to have to blitz one of these guys. And then maybe we're going to have to maybe block with this guy and get enough assists going in there. So, I don't know, can you block him? No, can't do it very well. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go with one of the more important blocks here, and we're just going to go ahead and do it now. Alright, so moving is decent. We are going to follow, so that way we can get him close to the ball. And then we do want to try and free up some of these guys. Let's go ahead and try and take care of, I guess, him. Oh, nope. Oh, I misclicked there, but that's okay. That's okay. We can push him out of the way here. We're going to stay in this case. I was trying to deselect him, but it didn't work so well. Can we get 3 dice here? Yes, we can. That's what I was trying to accomplish by getting a player out of the way. So 3 dice is better than 2. And then we're going to go ahead and stay here so we can keep him in a more effective tackle zone. And we knocked out another player. That's very good. The more players we can knock out of the game for them, that's going to make it a lot easier on us. So now we have to think about positioning here. So I think we want to go ahead and get you right there. And then I think we probably want to blitz. Could blitz right here, but I think we're going to go ahead and do it right here. And we're going to blitz this direction. I think we might want to see if we can go ahead and get a better block there first. We'll go ahead and get you in there to tie up some of these guys. And then we are going to blitz with you. So we're going to try and free up space for the ball here. See if we can get someone in there. Alright, so we're going to do that to knock him down. We're going to move him out of the way. And we're going to follow. Alright, now we're running out of time, but I want to get him in there and try and pick up the ball. Let's do it. He was unsuccessful. Yeah, I'm not going to try and re-roll that. Let's see if someone can catch it. I'm not going to re-roll a very difficult attempt. I'm hoping it doesn't land into the other team. Yeah, it's just kind of hopping around like a pinball here. But it basically does that until someone catches it or it lands on the ground. So it's kind of a random number generator determining which direction that it bounces when someone fumbles around with the ball. But we do have the ball now, and he is surrounded by some of our guys here, so if we can get a cage going here, we might be able to score a touchdown this turn. Or not on this turn, but in this half when it's their offense. Alright, so they choose where we go. There is a skill called sidestep, which allows you to choose the direction that your player goes whenever they try and tackle you or push you or something like that. So that could be a consideration with some of these little guys to try and help us position them a lot better when they get tossed around. Alright, so all of our enforcers did get knocked down, which pushed our ball carrier away a little bit, but we have this pretty well locked down. We have all of our guys in here to be able to provide assistance. And then we're just going to leave him on the ground because he's very close to the sideline. And getting pushed out of bounds it means you end up getting surfed, which basically means that rowdy fans in the stands or on the sidelines or whatever come out and they beat the crap out of you, and it provides a risk of injury, which is something that we just don't want. And so you, I think what I want to do with you is I just want to get you over here, so that way I can provide, I want to be able to provide a tackle zone with him. I don't know why it's showing me the go for it thing there. Okay, let's just do that. I want to be able to prevent them from running back this direction, because I'm going to try and loop around here and go around for a score that direction. So let's see what kinds of blocks that we have here. I think we can get 3 dice here on the ball carrier. Alright, very good. We're going to knock him down. We're getting some pretty decent rolls here for knocking these fools down. I'm going to follow so we can tie up some of their players in the middle. So they're getting stunned and KO'd a lot. Again, that is one downside of the Norse team, is that the low armor value. If they do get knocked down, it is kind of dangerous for them. So now we want to decide what we are going to do here. We can get some 2 dice blocks in the middle. I think I might want to do a blitz first. So let's go ahead and get you around here to provide some assistance on this guy. And then I think we want to go ahead and blitz, or not blitz. I think we just want to get him in there to help block. I know we can blitz with this guy, it's just a matter of who do we blitz. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to block here first? I think we do. We just want to take out some of these guys so that way they're not going to be able to follow the ball carrier. Alright, so pushing isn't too bad. We are not going to follow. Can we get a 2 dice block here? Yes, we can. We're going to take advantage of this since we don't get it very often. And he is going to take advantage. Right, so let's get him in there. We are going to stay. We don't want him getting blocked around. And then we are going to go ahead and blitz, I think, right in there. There'll be a going for it, but it's a pretty good chance we succeed on that. We have a reroll. So we succeeded on the going for it. Did not do so well with the push, but that's okay. We are going to follow and try and tie up their guys as much as possible. And then you are going to get around here and try and stop them dead in their tracks. So I'm just trying to go ahead and make a wall off here. And then I want you to go down the sideline here. We do risk him getting surfed as it was, but we just want to lessen the chance that he is going to get targeted and hit around in the first place. So by making them have to go all the way around and loop around to get to him, we're making it more difficult to get to the ball carrier. So we tried making a bit of a wall for him here that they have to go all the way around. That, or they're going to have to make some difficult dodging attempts with no rerolls. So they're already using their blitz on this guy, so they're not going to blitz the ball carrier, which is what you probably should try and do in this situation, so that way you can try and knock the ball out. Alright, well, stunned is okay. Stunned is okay in this situation, because if we're getting ready to score, then being stunned doesn't really have any effect going into the next possession. So it looks like they were able to knock down one of my big enforcers there. But obviously, because of you know, having good armor and everything like that, it's difficult to knock them out in the first place. Alright, so we're just going to try and get some blocks in here before we go ahead and score. We're going to try and get some nice blocks going here if we can. No, I don't want to go for it. Just want to go there. Provide some assistance. And then we're going to go with the safest blocks possible to try and get some star player points here. We have one reroll with 3 dice. Okay, very good. If we can get them badly injured, then it makes it a lot easier to go ahead and get those star player points rolling in. We're going to follow. We're not getting any serious injuries here, but we are knocking them around quite a bit. Okay, so I think we're not going to blitz with him. We're just going to get an assist here on this guy, so maybe he can land the block for one of the few times in his life that he'll be able to say that. And then we are going to go ahead and move you closer to the ball carrier, just in case things go terribly wrong here. And then we're going to move you over here, and we're going to blitz this guy with 2 dice. It's a pretty safe block. And the main reason I'm doing this is just for the star player points and to try and get my players to progress a bit more. And then we're going to follow and make it a bit more difficult for them to be able to get away. And then you are going to move over there to try and make a tackle zone that's difficult for them to get past if we fail this blocking attempt with the reroll. Alright, yes. Alright, come on, you can do it, man. Knock him down for the count. Yes! He did it! He got him! Ab the Mad was stunned by our lowly little guy, and now we're just going to score. We're not going to bother with trying to knock the daylights out of them even more. We could, but we just want to guarantee the score here and not worry about him getting smashed. Alrighty then, so fortune favors the bold and the bashing team, as it were. So one of our little guys has got some star player points for scoring the touchdown, and there are our human cheerleaders there. That is the sort of Blood Bowl version of cheerleaders. Instead of skirts and stuff like that, like they usually wear, they just kind of wear like the short shorts type stuff. So those are the Blood Bowl cheerleaders for you, and they come in after you score a touchdown. I think when it's halftime, I think they make an appearance too. I can't quite remember. It's been a while since I've played this game in full. So we're going to take the same defensive formation as we did last time. It worked pretty well for us, covering the middle here with tackle zones and relying on these guys to hold up so they can't run down the middle here. And then there are the rolls here for the wake up after KO. So that's one of the downsides of scoring early there, is that they get another chance to wake up for a KO with the match. But I just wanted to guarantee that I was going to score, so I'm willing to go ahead and take that. Alright, so changing weather. Nice. Perfect Blood Bowl weather with a gentle gust of wind. A gentle gust of wind makes the ball scatter 1 extra square in a random direction before landing. So that means it could go out of bounds here. Hopefully it doesn't. And it did. Yep, so it can either be a touchback or out of bounds or something like that. So unfortunately the wind caused it to go out of bounds, and so they give it to the player that they want automatically. And so I'm assuming what they're going to try and do here is set up a cage and make it difficult for us to get to their ball carrier. And then they're going to try and make a lane by well-timed blocks and some good blitzing action to try and get a lane to run through for a score before the half is over. And they only have one turn to do so after this one. In all honesty, if I'm able to knock the ball out of the ball carrier's hands, I probably have a better chance of scoring than they do, considering. Alright, well that's not a good start with my enforcer getting knocked around there, but that's okay. They honestly didn't do very many blocks on that one, so I mean, they didn't do any blocks in the middle here to try and... I mean, we put these guys right here, so it's very hard to flank them. It's very hard to flank these guys right here when you have these guys set up right here to prevent them from just getting flanked and ganged up on. So, we're going to go ahead and get you to stand up and get in their way. And honestly, we can probably get a 2-dice block over here with this guy just going in here. He can go in here, and then later on we can do a 2-dice block over there. And then I think we're just going to try and get one guy on the ball carrier here. Send him around there. And then we can get, yeah, we can get 2 dice off on those guys. Alright, so we're going to try and do this direction first. If something goes wrong, then at least it's happening on this side. Okay. Thankfully, I haven't really had to use any team rerolls yet. And we are going to stay so that way we can keep the tackle zone over here. Delivering the Stone Cold Stunner and stunning him. Alrighty then. The Liz Blitz is coming to play today. Alright. And then you're going to get over here and we're just going to try and knock him around. Very good. And he's going to be next to the ball carrier regardless, but we're just going to go ahead and have him stay there. Because we want a 3-dice, a reliable 3-dice block on this guy to just clear out the middle, and then we can just surround the ball carrier, I'm hoping. Get a bunch of tackle zones on the ball carrier, and hopefully it'll be a partridge in a pear tree. So, get him away from the ball carrier. We will follow. I'm going to try and cut off this direction a little bit and then keep a body on him for when he stands back up, then he can't move around. Now, what else can we do? We can blitz him with one of our little guys, which honestly, not the best idea, but you know, we might have to do it. Let's try doing a block over here first and see how this goes. Alright, the skull basically means you go down. Defender stumbles. Again, if they don't have the dodge skill, then you can knock them down. So we're going to do that. We're going to stay. Yes, he is injured. So this is a bad injury. So badly hurt. So no long-term effect, but we get star player points from that, and that's very, very good. You got 2 star player points for badly injuring him. Very nice. We are bashing teams, so our big guys are mainly going to get star player points doing that. And now this guy is free to run around in here, actually, and get an assist on the ball carrier. So now we might be able to get some kind of blitz going here. We're going to do this oh, it's only a 1-dice block? Oh, come on. Well, that's because he has 4 strength. Alright, well that's okay. We might just keep him there then, and we're going to try and get as many assists as possible on the ball carrier. So we're going to do a stunty dodge. Yep, he's very good at dodging, so we're going to dodge out of there. We get the free reroll there because he has the dodge skill. And then we're going to go ahead and blitz with this guy, which is not something you're going to see every day. But we're going to get Moondatik in there and get in for a blitz. And we got him. So the chances of them scoring are probably very, impossible right now. And he gets an injury! And he KO'd him! The little guy! Oh, he used his finesse to go ahead and take that sucker out. Now we can try and get on the ball here because he blitzed, but we didn't have enough time to execute the moving afterward. We could have tried dodging through to get the ball, which might have given us a chance at scoring next turn because we have very high movement speed with these guys. Because you can go for it with high movement speed, you have a chance of scoring. Sadly, that guy got knocked down, and he was the closest to the ball and the closest to being able to score. But as long as we don't get anyone badly injured here, we're okay, I think. If anyone gets stunned, that's kind of okay. Alright, so he gets stunned. Okay. Okay, so we have... Can you score? As that's the question. You cannot score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to score, unfortunately, but we can try and get some star player points going with some blocks here. And we can also try and throw a pass as well to get some star player points. So let's just go ahead and try and get the big guy some star player points going here. We'll try and get some assists going here. We're just going to go ahead and send him over, I guess, we'll just have him go over here somewhere. We'll have him try and get open for a pass, so that way maybe we can try and get some star player points that way. Let's clear this direction out, I'm hoping. Let's stand you up to get an assist. We don't have any chance of scoring, but we want to try and see if we can get star player points to help out our players a bit here. I think we're going to stand you over here. And then we're going to get the big guy in here with his bulking strength. And we're going to knock him down. Alright, Bruiser, hit him! Ah! You got a good hit in there, but not enough. Okay, well, let's see what else we can do here. We want to get that guy off the ball so that way we can go ahead and blitz. We can blitz him, get him off the ball, and then we can try and maybe throw a pass here and get some star player points. Alright, so we were able to take him out and free up someone, I'm presuming. We don't want to move him. Oh, well, that sucks. That kind of makes it a bit more difficult to execute our plan. Because now we have bodies in the way, but... Okay, so... Can we get you around... Alright, so we can give him an assist with the go for it. So we'll just go ahead and do this. Very low risk. Okay, we succeeded. And then at the very least, we can go ahead and blitz this guy into him with a 2 dice block, and we can get him off the ball. Alright, very good. I don't want him going on the ball. I think we have to... Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard to do things here. I think we have to go ahead and stay, actually. And then we need to get you on the ball. It's a bunch of dodges, but we're just going to go ahead and take it and see if we can get through there. Let's dodge. And we're going to use our team reroll because we're not going to use it otherwise. Oh, come on. You were almost there. Almost there to execute the pass. Alright, well, at least he didn't get injured. Sometimes if you fail a dodging attempt and you get knocked down, you can also get injured that way, and it's another way to gain star player points if you injure someone seriously. If you get badly injured at any point, then it gives the player that knocked you down the star player points. There we go, our Sea of Red is coming back out, and this time we are on offense for the first time. Alrighty. So let's get you in the middle there. And then, I like having those guys up in the middle. I don't know if I want them up front, because they're not exactly the heavy hitters. Let's get you over here on the edge. And then, who has our star player points? You got the touchdown. So I want you back to the, oops. I want him back there to maybe throw a pass or something like that. And then we're going to get you over there. We just want some tackle zones in case things go poorly. Then we're going to have you over there. And we'll put you over there. Oh. We'll put him over there. We have this guy who's kind of an extra guy who can go over and get the ball if it's over here. And then anywhere else, we can have this guy go get it and maybe throw a pass to him and try and get some star player points that way. And then we're going to save this setup, offensive setup number 1. Doesn't allow you to name your offensive setups, but that's okay. And then confirm. I like having all of our guys on the line. Yes, yep, we know about the kickoff. So there's a riot, so both teams lose a turn. That's not actually all that bad. We have plenty of time to score still. This is much more... It's much more an issue if there's already been a bunch of turns and someone scored and then you have people losing a turn. But we still have like 7 turns to score here, which is plenty enough. Alright, so we have the ball. And so I think we can just go in here and start beating the crap out of these guys. Let's go ahead and free this guy up to give an assist to the big guy. Yeah, let's just do that. We are not going to follow him. We just want to make a barrier here. So that way we can set up some blocks and blitzes and all the good stuff. Let's block with you now. Very nice. Knock him down. We want to knock him... It depends. Do we want to go right or left? I think we want to go ahead and go left because they have more players on this side of the field. At least that's what it appears like. And we'll follow this time. And then we are going to get a bunch of strength. Oh. Okay, so we're going to have to go ahead and get an assist in here with one of the little guys. And then if we do this, I think we should be able to get 3... No? Still no 3 dice? Okay. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and... I think we can get one of these guys. Or, I don't know, maybe... I think we'll just go ahead and set some guys up over here, I guess, before we do anything else to set these up. We're going to get you over there. Again, just kind of trying to take over the tackle zones here first before we do anything. And then, do we want to assist? I think we can get away without it. We'll just go ahead and do this, since it's a 2-die block no matter what. Alright, we got him. Let's push him in that direction. And we shall... let's follow up the block and kind of make a wall here. And then we're going to set you up over here to kind of make a barrier, tackle zone barrier, before we do anything. And then you are going to go ahead and blitz. Question is where? You know what? I think we can go ahead and get away with this. We have a reroll if we need it. Alright, barely got the go for it, and we are going to knock him down. I think we want to push him this direction. And we are going to follow him. Alright, so we got him knocked down, and now it's a matter of where do we want to go ahead and position the thrower. The runner, I think we want to position just in behind the big guys here, so that way in case we drop the ball from the pass, then we can go ahead and easily cover up the ball here. We'll go ahead and do it right here, so that way if we drop it, the ball doesn't bounce around all that far. And then you are going to get over here as a tackle zone in case he drops the pass, to kind of shield him a little bit from both sides here. I'm going to do a quick pass. He fumbled it. This is important enough to where I'm going to use my reroll. Now he fumbled it twice, so that was a very bad drop-off there. Alright, well, I mean, it's okay. Sometimes you get 2 natural 1s on your dice rolls. It happens. We're very good at the bashing aspect, so that's not much is going for us. The main problem is that we only have 1 reroll, and we used it, so trying to score will be difficult here, since we can't take too many chances now. I like to pass the ball whenever possible, so that way I can try and get star player points going, because our little guys really do need those to try and get some development going into some very important skills like throwing and catching. And maybe we might make one of them a kicker as well to make kickoffs a bit easier to aim. But yeah, we've ended up shielding our ball very well, so they haven't been able to get through here. We're not going to use our apothecary on a KO. He might return if we score here. Then he'll get a chance to return. Alright, so we want to stand him up. He's going to get knocked around, but that's what he's there for. He's going to tie up both of these guys and force them to make some blocks before they can get over to the ball. Since you have a 2-die block, I might want to just go in with him and do this now. Alright, a push, that's fine. We'll do that, and we aren't going to have him follow, because we don't want him getting knocked around. I think we're going to get him in for a tackle zone here. I don't know. We have a guy down here to deal with, so we need to get someone on him. I think we'll do this, because we need one person on this guy to make sure he doesn't get the ball. Since he's a thrower, I think he has a passing skill. He doesn't have sure hands, but he can get the ball and then throw it to somebody if he has to. Lineman, Berserker. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between these Norse guys by their appearance. Linemen, Berserkers, all these people. Really, it's their pose that's the only difference, I think, for a lot of them. Okay, well, I have to decide who's going to go after the ball here. We're going to get you over the ball in case something goes terribly wrong. Get you back there. And then we want to get the big guy going in here. We don't want to use a blitz on him, but we do want him to cover up things well over there. And then I think if I'm going to blitz, I want to go ahead and blitz. Oops. I want to have him go ahead and blitz from this direction and open up a hole over here, so that way we can get some players through to try and cut them off. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and kind of clog things up for the players here. We are going to follow. Nice. And then we are going to go ahead and sort of tie up some of their players here. So these two guys are tied up and they will have to dodge to get away from him, which then frees up this guy to kind of go over here and solidify things a bit more on this front. We're leaving this guy open, but we'll be okay. We have some guys over here. I think we want to make blocks before deciding to pick up the ball. Alright, he's going down. And then I will follow him, so that way this guy has someone covered up on him. And now is a matter of, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and just try and pick up the ball here. A bit risky, but I want to see if I can keep that guy open in case things happen here. Okay, good. Now I wonder if a handoff might be better here, because we can have him run through, potentially, and get a score. Oh shoot, I ran out of time. I am stupid. It's hard to pay attention to the timer and what you're trying to do. I spend a bit too much time thinking of my moves, but at the very least we have the ball. So, and they made some dice rolls there, but we have dodge, so yeah, things are not going to go so well for them there. So they were able to get a blitz, but it didn't go so well for them. Alright, so he's badly hurt here. No long-term effects, so we're not going to use the apothecary on that one. It's really too bad that I ran out of time there. I was going to try and do a drop-off to that guy right there and run him through. I really need to be faster on offense to score here. Alright, so they're not getting too many blocks up here. They're just kind of moving guys around for the most part. But I still can run up the middle there. Oh, and they get knocked down. So this area through here can be open if we can get the guy off the ball there. Okay. So I think what I want to do is we're going to get you. Well, we're going to stand you up first. We need you to occupy that player. I think we're going to get you over here. And I think we can get a 3-dice block going. Or 2-dice block, sorry. We can get a 2-dice block going on their runner. Not much of a risk other than the fact that we have no dice rolls, or we have no dice rerolls left. So we want to try something different here. I think we're going to go over here and tie these guys up fairly well. Thankfully Bonehead has only a 1 in 6 chance of things going poorly. And then with him, I think we might try and hand the ball off to him. So let's go ahead and do this first. If things go poorly, we still have the ball. Okay. We want him to go here. And then we do want to follow. And then we want the ball carrier to get over here. And I think he wants to go ahead and hand it off from over here. Well, actually, if we fumble the handoff, I think I want it going more into this inner direction here. Since we have a lot of players over here, and now we're going to try and hand it off. Very good. Okay. And now we have some time for some blocks that we might want to make. So we're going to go here first, and then we're going to blitz if the other guy, if we can free him up. Alright, so that's not very good, obviously. He gets stunned, but that's okay. We have the ball carrier here. We have guys around him to help out. The problem there is that this guy frees up tackle zones here, so they can blitz the ball carrier. Yeah, we really need to be able to run someone through there, but we might have missed our window of opportunity there. So let's see where the ball bounces. Okay, so over there is fine. They have the ball, but we have lots of guys that can go over there and get them, so... So first things first, we're going to have you provide... Well, we want you to get up next to the ball carrier. He is a lineman, so he's not really anything special here as far as skills other than block. Alrighty then. Well, what do we want to do here? Yeah, the window of opportunity was there, but it is kind of gone now. Blitzing is going to be difficult. So what can we do here? Let's try and take out an important player. Let's take out the Berserker here. Let's see if we can take him out. Okay, very good. We're going to stay because we want him closer to the ball. Alright, so now we freed him up. I don't know if we can get him around. I don't think we can yet. I think we definitely want you to get on the ball. I want you right there. And then, let's see, is this guy... He's a thrower, okay. Alright, so let's try getting a blitz over here. I don't know if we're going to blitz the ball carrier right now. We just don't have an opportunity. We're just going to push him. We just want to get him out of the way. So let's stay, so that way we can move around and get to this ball carrier. Let's see now. He's a runner, so we need to maybe cover him up with somebody. Going all the way around is going to be a bit difficult. Bit difficult for the Liz Blitz. Let's get him all the way around here so that a way at least we can get an assist on him and maybe prevent them from being able to loop around. And then I think what I want to do is just try and get as many people around the ball as possible. We'll go ahead and do this block. I think it's a 2-die block. Yes. Okay. Fairly safe block. And let's get him going this direction. We do need to keep a guy on him, so we will follow. Yes, I clicked that. There we go. Alright, so he's down and he's not going anywhere. I think I want to try and dodge and get this guy tied up once again. Dodge with a reroll. So hopefully we can do it. Alright, he was able to do it. Alright, this guy, tying up this guy is more important than tying up that guy, because he is much closer to being able to score. And Yep, I think that's going to be the end of our turn here. Sad that on our offense we weren't able to take advantage of it when we could have. That's just my fault for letting that timer run out too soon. But even if they take him out with the blitz, we have 3 people on the ball and there's not much that they can do about that. All their players up there are tied up. Yep, we're going to use dodge to keep our guy up. And it looks like, yep, they got both down for the block there. So now they're trying to surround their ball carrier to try and give them an opening, I guess. Very difficult dodge there, or somewhat difficult dodge that they succeeded at. So they're going to try and cage up over here and maybe try and do some more dodging and getting away with it, I imagine. Alright, both down. But he's still stuck right there, so we can possibly knock him out of bounds. Not that it's important right now. Alright, we want you to get up and get somewhere in there. For now, I just want you to tie up these 2 players. So now these 2 guys aren't able to freely get out of there. We do have 1 guy close to the ball. We definitely need more. Let's get the little guys up. We're going to need them one way or another. And let's get you up. Tie up the runner there. And then I think we can free him by getting a block on this guy. But first, I think we need to guarantee that at least somebody is on the ball here. Let's get in there. Can we get 3 dice? We cannot. Not enough strength. Okay, well that's okay. Alright, so that's good. We're going to put him over here so that way it's harder for the runner to go that direction. And we KO'd him. That's very good. It's actually very good for us because that's 1 less guy protecting the ball carrier right now. And we need to free up him so we can get him flanked around their lineman there. Alright, so let's try and free him up here. Yes. Yes! Bash them in! That is what we are. We are the Bashermen! We're going to follow this guy. And we're going to tie both of them up with the big dude. With their big dude, Croc Hunter. And then we want him to get around for a blitz over here, I think, is what we want to do. So we want to knock the ball carrier down, hopefully. 2 dice, so it's not bad. Pushing is acceptable here. We can surround him. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we could do a 1 dice block. It's not very much of a risk here. If he goes down, it's kind of inconsequential here. Okay, well, that's okay. We still have him tied up with a player. I was hoping to knock him down or push him to free up our other little guy over here so we could loop him around. I could have tried dodging there also with a free dodge reroll that they get, but I was going to try and knock him down. And he fell down at the last second! Alright, so he fell down once, but they had a team reroll there to get him across the finish line for the score there. I thought that the dodge that he would have would be a bit more difficult with 3 guys on him, but I guess not. Okay, so their KO stays in there. We have 1 badly hurt, and then our KO guy comes back. Okay. And we do have a reserve player to put in there as well, because we have 12 players. Okay, so we're on offense again. We have a different player in here. Maybe we might want to just set them up in here and try and get some blocks going, if possible. They only have 2 strength, but it's probably better to be able to get a block in without needing to blitz with one of those guys. Okay. So I think, yeah, we're going to go with save setup here. Offensive setup number 2. And I think we're going to just do that. Hopefully we're not going to make these same mistakes again. Both teams gain a turn this time. Riot! 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 Thankfully there is enough time for us to possibly be able to score here. Especially with the gaining an extra turn. Okay, so the ball's over there. We want to bash first. Our guys are back there, so we can get some. We can get a pretty good wall going over here. Let's get you over here. Set things up for some blocks. And then we're just going to set up a nice little screen over here. Since these guys are so kind to allow us to do that. And then, where do we want to block first? I think we can block over here with the assist. Alright, get him knocked down. Let's have him go that direction. And we're going to stay so we can keep assisting in the front here. Alright, we got a KO. So I want them to get badly hurt for the star player points. We're not getting that quite yet, but it'll come. It will come soon enough. So they have some berserkers up there and some runners. Let's just keep taking care of the edge guys here. Get him off the ball. And we'll tie him up over here and surround him. And we'll stay. Keep the line going here. And now we should be able to get some nice blocks going here eventually. Alright, knock him down. Rock'em sock'em lizard folk. And we're going to follow this time since he still stays fairly within the middle there. And now we're going to get a... No, I guess not. We're not going to get a 3 dice block there, not without some help. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. Let's give him a 3 dice block here. And then we can free this guy up to loop around and create another wall over there. Let's get him! Alright, Mighty Blow, let's hope you kick in here. And we shall follow. Oh, I forgot there's actually someone stationed here, but again, that's okay. I think we should still be able to get a 2 dice block in on him. And then maybe we can set up a screen over there with him. Alright, well, we're able to knock him down. Let's get him out of there. We're just going to go ahead and stay on this one. We need one guy behind here, just in case. And then, whoops. And then we're going to go ahead and move him up here to create a tackle zone. So it's not very easy for them to get through there. Let's hope that you pick up the ball. Very lonely back there. We need you to pick it up, man. Okay, well that sucks. You've got our star player points so far. If we can get you a touchdown, that'd be pretty sweet, but it's not looking good. We might have to throw the ball to be able to get a touchdown here. I'm not sure where they're going to blitz. It's kind of randomized when they decide to blitz and where they decide to blitz at. Alright, well that's a decent blitz for them. Sadly, it did not work out so well for them, because I am able to use dodge. And same here, we can use dodge. Alright, so they're kind of making a little gap over here, but we're not going to run that way. We're going to be going to the right. And we have a nice little seam set up here to get some guys going. If he can pick up the ball, of course. This all relies on the fact that he needs to pick up the ball. So... So we have 2 free runners here. And then I think we need to get probably at least one person over here. No, we don't want to blitz with you. I think maybe we can set him up over here, and we can make life more miserable on them. And then if we make a block here, we can only get 2 dice. If we go over here, though, I think we can make it 3. If we want to win, we have to kind of be a bit risky here. So we're going to have to just take the 3 dice block without the re-roll before picking the ball up. Okay, well, fortune favors the bashers. Okay. And then we're going to stay to make sure that the tackle zone stays here so they can't try dodging through. Alright, we stunned one guy. Then over here... That's just 1 die. I think we need to go ahead and blitz with this guy. And I don't know if we can really get any good blitzes going here. Maybe we just need to go ahead and tie these guys up with him. But we really do need to blitz, though, I think. Can we get a 2 die with him? Yep, not with him. Okay. So maybe we take out this guy, then we can get a 2 die on him. Okay, we were just able to get him down here. And we shall follow. And then let's go ahead and get the 2 die on him. Just get it done quickly. We have to make a decision here. And we're going to go this way. We will not follow. We want to get a bit of a screen going here where they can't block everybody that I have. And then we want to get someone in scoring position. Whoops, no. It didn't say going for it before. Oh. Okay, well at least we didn't fail that, but at first it didn't say it and then it suddenly pops up on you like that. It shouldn't do that. Okay, well... Now, I think we have to try and get the ball to him and then have him run up. Or get a running start going with him. Or him. Yeah, let's get you over here. Because I know that they're just going to want to go for the ball here. You know what the heck? Let's just go right there, almost next to them. So they really have to go around him if things go badly here. Alright, pick it up. No! Damn you! Damn you! Oh, man. I mean, it is possible for us to score here. Oh, that's very good news. They already wasted their reroll. And then they get the crap kicked out of them. We might be able to score if we can get the ball over there. And they're badly hurt, so we get some... At the very least, we've gotten some star player points now out of this match. Okay, so I don't know if we're going to be able to score here. I think we have to We have to pick the ball up, pass it to him, have him go over and hand it off to him, and then he goes in for the score. I think that's the only chance that we have of scoring. We could try a long bomb pass, but it's very unlikely to work because we don't have a thrower that is good at those things. The only thing that we have to worry about is preventing them from being able to score. So we're going to leave him right there. Yeah, so we just have to make sure that they can't score if we fail with our attempt here. So let's just get you over here against these guys. Yeah, we have to go for Bonehead. Alright, so it's the first time Bonehead has come up, but thankfully in this situation it's inconsequential to our plans. It's more just like a fail-safe, so to speak. Because we don't have any players in the way to worry about as far as them trying to swat a pass out and about. You know what, since we're not going to block too much, let's just get you... Yeah, let's just get you over here. We'll try and get some star player points. If we can't win the match, so be it. And then we'll go ahead and we'll blitz in with you. Maybe we can free up the little guy. Oh, shit. Yeah, so both down. That basically means we can't score. That's the risk that you take. We'd be taking a big risk trying to score as well, but, you know, that's just the way it is. But I don't think that they can realistically score here. I don't think they have enough movement to do it. So I think they're just going to try and bash for star player points here. Basically, in the last turn, if there's no chance of scoring, or if you had a point where there's no chance of scoring, you just try and bash people to hell for the star player points. So, alright, so thankfully no long-term effect. I'm sad that we couldn't get the win here. I kind of bungled that a little bit. We had two potential scoring opportunities, and we just bungled it, and one of them resulted in them getting the win, or getting the score of their own. So, but again, that's Blood Bowl. It does happen, and sometimes the better team doesn't win. So, you know, personally, I thought my team was better, but again, in pro football, there are upsets that happen. Sometimes things don't go as planned, and turnovers happen, and bad things happen. Okay. And because I played some matches already before, this is just the coach level up thing going on here. Because I did play a couple matches before on this account. So, but that was a long time ago. So, a 1-to-1 tie. A bit embarrassing for us. And we did get a lot of armor breaks on them. That's how many armor breaks we inflicted, not how many we received, I think. We inflicted 19 on them, and they inflicted 9 on us. And this is the most valuable player selected at random, but thankfully the most valuable player was selected on one of our good players here. And one of their badly hurt players got the MVP, so if we can get him some star player points in the next match, then he will level up to level 2. Yeah, the statistics aren't too important, but you can take a look at them if you really want to. Sometimes it lets you know how many star player points that people got and how many knockdowns and armor breaks and stuff that they got. And so, yep, that's the first match, and I think this is a good stopping point for us. We got the introduction handled. We made sort of a note of what all the different teams are like and what the game is like and the influences of it and kind of where the game originates from, and we were able to at least get a draw on our first match, and hopefully in the future we are going to get some more wins. And our next opponent is Necromantic team, so we will go ahead and take a look at the necromantic team for next time in the next episode in the journey of the Sea of Red Lizardman team. And hopefully there will be lots of bashing in our near future, and lots of touchdowns scored, and lots of wins on the schedule. So I hope you all tune in next time, and I really appreciate all of you joining me for this journey in our first match of the Sea of Red. Hope you all take care and have a wonderful day.